we've got, I'll answer one, or let's look at one of the questions that was just submitted, and I couldn't agree more with this anonymous viewer. Says the shipper should not be responsible for certifying the tare weight of the container. The shipper is only responsible for the product weight. When will the final decisions directions be provided? I think that's a great question, and I know it's one that came up in the TPM as well, without a great answer, because many trade association groups are protesting the idea that we as a shipper who are not buying or leasing the container can validate the tare weight of the container in order to certify and sign, from a legal requirement to sign that they verify the tare weight of that container and so forth. And I do know that I was participating in a conference up in Iowa, an invitation-only event for the USDA, and one of the people there works for a large manufacturing firm, and they did a test over 10 containers, and the weight listed on the tare weight listed on the containers was between 800 and 1,700 pounds different than what was listed on the container. So that creates an area of concern, and one that I don't agree with this. I mean, that I agree with this anonymous viewer's question here, is that the shipper should not be responsible for certifying. And I do know that that's something that we're going to learn more about probably in the upcoming months prior to the July 1, is how we can validate that. You guys have any insight or thoughts on that too?
A couple different things I'd bring up. One is on the liability side. I know that's a big concern of shippers right now. Is the amendment requires as Patrick said, a shipper or an authorized shipper representative to certify, essentially, to be a signatory to the weight data or document. Now, shippers are worried about what kind of liability situation that creates. For something that is sort of might be handled by a third party, and B, something where they again they don't have access to the equipment prior to when it's being loaded, so there's no way they can independently verify equipment that's not theirs or maintained by them. So it's putting shippers in a situation where they're exposing themselves to a lot of liability. The one thing I'd say on the tare kind of concern, which I fully understand, that you don't want to be necessarily in a position of being responsible for the weight of a piece of equipment you don't maintain. I think the carriers would be in a tough position to reject a container that was overweight based on the tare plus method, if their own tare weight that's listed on the back of the equipment is wrong. So in other words, if there's that much variance, how in their own equipment that they're supposed to be maintaining, how would they then say to the shipper that this container is overweight? Because all the shipper can do is kind of do the calculation, right? So I don't know if that's how it's going to play out, but that seems like it would be a very awkward conversation for the carrier to have with their customers.